Yeah, I got a little carried away. That was an FSC with a factory mag, which holds six plus one in the chamber. That's why you heard 8 shots, because I shot it 8 times. But if you notice, nothing came out on the eighth shot because there was only 7 rounds in there. But yeah, let me show you this. Some of you might remember me messing around with this thing about a year ago, and I made all kinds of rounds for it. I'm trying to, I can't even remember what I called them, but basically the ones that were quite successful were like a lead ball pressed into a 3D print, and those work great. I made them in all different sizes and whatever. But that was kind of like secondary to what I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was make a round that was like a shotgun round. And I worked on this one design for a really long time, and made thousands of prints. Look, I mean, we'll even go over here and I'll show you just a few of the ones that I did. Let me put you down for a second. But yeah, here's some. Here's some. And each one of these took, anywhere from like 15 to 22 minutes to print. These are the ones that didn't get shot, and there's more in here. And there's more in another bag. So the problem with those was that they would occasionally, you'd have one break inside here as this magazine. It's got the red spring in it, and sometimes as that would push the rounds up in here, they would break in the barrel, and then that was no good. So they never got out of the experimental stage. And I was thinking about it the other morning. I was like, I need a challenge, and I'm not really wanting to quit things. So I remembered this and how I just had to put it down, because at the time I couldn't solve it. And it was Friday. So I got up Friday and I sat down in front of the computer, came up with a completely new design, and this is it. It doesn't look like much, but there's more than meets the eye in there. It's a two-piece round, and it's full. These particular ones have 16 BBs. They weigh just a little over 7 grams. I've made some that are a little bit that only have 14 BBs in them, and those seem to be quite a bit faster, but I haven't really experimented with them as much as these. These have been 100% for me in this magazine. I've got another magazine, one of these 3D printed deals I got off of eBay a while back, and I keep having issues with it, and this is probably why I had to put the other ones down. It's been a long time, but I probably couldn't get them to work in this magazine nearly as well as this one. I'm sure I still had problems with this magazine though. What I found with this is that opening right there is the opening where they come out is shallower. I don't know if you can tell it on here, but it's not. It doesn't allow for as tall of a projectile. Probably fine with ball ammo, but once you start getting into geometries of different, mag-fed shaped rounds, I've been really struggling with it, and I figured, well, I could just make it a little bit shorter. That doesn't work. So it seems like right in here, you'll get like one that cocks sideways, and then that really messes things up. But it could be mitigated with lubrication, but I don't really feel like spraying silicone lube all over this magazine just to get it to work. When this is like 100% already. I've probably shot 30 of these without any issues in this magazine. And back when I first started this, I thought I was real clever because I took a HPA adapter, an old HPA adapter for the Draws 30 round stick magazines, and apparently now Sterling Defense has started selling these, and specifically for these. And I also thought I was pretty clever with this bottle at the time, and now he started selling these also, but you can get these on eBay a lot cheaper. He lists his as 3,000 psi bottles, but AliExpress lists them for 4,500 psi, and I'm pretty sure that's what they are, as it's listed right there. Probably can't see that, but yeah, that's what I run in it. That's 1,000 psi. I think this bottle and 1,000 psi regulator was like $50 on AliExpress. It may have gone up since then, but yeah. Anyway, that brings me to the Draws, because occasionally I get asked about these. Now, as far as the Bumblebee that I'm working on, I still have not received the stick magazine from the gentleman I purchased it from, so that's all we're waiting on. Now this is kind of cool. I'll show you this after I get done. But anyway, yeah, Daniel over at Sterling Defense has it looks like two different sized HPA adapters, and they will probably fit right in here. I'm going to include a picture of one of these HPA adapters next to a ruler. And if anybody's interested, they could shoot Daniel that pic and say, hey, will this work? I mean, and you guys can work it out from there. I was telling you about how people will send people who in the past have had Blackbirds that have me hop them up, and then they're like, well, what do I do with these spare parts? And a lot of them have Bumblebees, so this is one of those deals. Now, this one is actually the first one I've done like this, because he sent me his entire Blackbird housing, and he was able to do that because he got the V20 mod. So he sent me just a fresh Blackbird housing. I'm like, well, I can just stick this whole housing onto the Bumblebee, and I don't even have to cut a hole for this one. So I give you, let me get some room for it. The Draws Bumblebird. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this one is just made from his Bumblebee and his spare parts from his Blackbird that I hopped up for him a while back. And it's got his Blackbird circuit board in here. So it's very simple to do this well, comparatively. Yeah, if you're going to use the Blackbird circuit board, because only mods you need to do inside the magazine would be, maybe I'm going to do it to this one, is put a magnet right in here, and that'll be all the mods it gets besides getting a latch plate. I made one of those and the paint's drying on it right now. But yeah, the Draws Bumblebird. So that brings me to a couple of more birds that people are thinking about offloading, and nobody's contacted me about that stock bird that the guy says. I think he says a 2012 model, and it's in like new condition, all factory, all stock. He'll send pics, whatever. I think that one can be had for a fair price, it sounded like. Now, he may have changed his mind on that. He might be sending that to me to get the full 5K treatment. I don't know. But if you're in the market for a stock blackbird that has been unmolested, he's got one. And maybe, you could contact him and work something out. And I just got an email from somebody who's had their bird on eBay for a while. And I saw him put it on eBay. I'm like, I wonder why he didn't contact me about that. And I was reading his listing, and he mentioned me in it, but he didn't mention that he just sent it to me to be gone over right before he listed it on eBay. And, that was really honorable of him, because there's so many shitheads in this business who would just put something on there and sell you something broke. That's just how it is. And that's why I'm here. Really. But anyway, yeah, the gun, I remember doing it. It's an earlier V20 mod, and it has the 4K simplified board in it, meaning that it has 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000. And in the grand scheme of things, 4K is probably your most destructive fire rate. Beyond that, you trim it back a little bit, So it's kind of like, well, is 5K more powerful? Is 4,500 more powerful than 4K? 4K's just got this certain oomph to it. And not to say that the 5K boards, you can't shoot 4K, because you certainly can. You've got a whole bunch of different fire rates. But the 4K simplified boards have a special place in my heart, because that is where everything really, really started for me. And the 4K simplification was a great way to go at the time, because you didn't really have to mess with pulse. You have only 4 fire rates, and you guys with these 5K SPSs, how many fire rates do you use actually? I mean, you might go through all of them once just to show somebody, but you're probably going to leave it at 4 or 5K, somewhere in there. Yeah, and it's a lot more soldier proof, because there's not a lot of confusion about tuning it. More forgiving as far as, just initial, what am I dealing with? It takes away that complexity of it. Not really, the complexity of the 5K SPS is not too hard to get over. I mean, it's really been simplified, but, it's just, I think there's 12 fire rates, and then you have to set your pulse for each fire rate. But, with the 4K, it's like going to be a lot more forgiving. Now, the only difference with the pulse is on the simplified boards. If you go from like 1,000 to 4,000, but you have it on a pulse of 7, if you're shooting at 1,000, and then you go to 4K, you're going to have to drop your pulse down to maybe 5 before it'll shoot right. So that's basically the only difference as far as how they work. But yeah, that one on eBay with, that looks like a 50 cubic inch Ninja bottle on there. I just gave him some information about, what I would have told him to do if he'd have contacted me before listing it. So he might pull that listing. And, if you want, you can contact me, and I can put you directly in contact with him. and then y'all can just do whatever you want outside of eBay, or just whatever you want to do. But I do think that he's probably going to end up relisting it. So if you want to avoid a bidding war, because that's probably what's going to happen if he takes my advice, you can go ahead and contact me. I'll give you his email address, and you can bypass all that shenanigans. Oh, one more thing. I changed the valve hold opens. Let me see. Where did I put them? Hold on. So here was the first design, and it's kind of awkward to get on and take off. The best way to do it is to hold it like so and then spread it. It's really hard to do with one hand. Pull it like so. And then the same way, but these are a lot easier. These are like a little clothesline, clothespin style. So yeah, so those are I'm just gonna be giving these away with, anytime I do some work for somebody. Come on, there we go. All right, so that is that, and like I say, just hit me up if you need any more information on any of that stuff that I went over in this video. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. If probably just use them for my own individual enjoyment. If you have any interest in them, it better be high, because at this point it was just like an accomplishment, not necessarily something that plan on making a ton of money with. All right, later.